Thank you. Abbie Herdman, Natural History Museum, Bryozoans on the Move. Here we go.
Hi everyone, I'm Abbie Herdman. I'm a new curator of invertebrates at the Natural History Museum London, and I predominantly look after the Bryozoan collections. So I'm just going to be talking a little bit about how we're starting to prepare the Bryozoan collections for the move to Reading with the Unlocked team. So Bryozoans are a little known phyla. They're also known as the moss animals, and that's because for a long time Bryozoans were considered to be plants rather than animals. The Natural History Museum's collection is made up of about 30% type material, making it one of the most significant collections in the world for scientific and historical value. So most of our bryozoans are kept in what we call the dry collections, and this is because we identify bryozoans looking at their tiny calcium structures most of the time using scanning electron microscopy. So what the collections moves team's been doing over the past year is rehousing some of our really old specimens. So in about 1911, we had a huge accession from Alfred Mill Norman, and he donated a lot of invertebrates across the whole sections. And in Bryozoa, we still have some of the historic housing. So the specimens were actually housed in blue cotton wool, and the bryozoans tended to get stuck in the blue cotton wool. It was a bit of a disaster. So we've just been going through the collection and carefully removing every single piece we possibly could, wrapping the specimens in acid-free tissue paper. And then when the pieces are particularly tiny, we've been putting them into gel capsules and back in the box to stop that dissociation risk. So moving on to our wet collections, this is still very much a priority that we still need to address in terms of the move, and that's because of some of these examples here. So these are the George Johnston wet collections for Bryozoa. They date from about the 1840s. And as you can see, there's a couple of issues that definitely need to be tackled. We've got historic glassware, we've got really old fluid. This is probably actually preserved in spirits of wine rather than ethanol. And we've also got some external labels, so a lot of issues to address before we can safely move the specimens. Because of the variety of fluids and fixatives, it means that we also need to look into people safety as well when it comes to the move. So at the moment, I've just been focusing on auditing the collection, getting our collections management system up to date, ready so the specimens can be track and traced for the move. So our slide collections in Bryozoa are quite a unique problem to Bryozoa. So because of all the different methods that bryozoans grow in, that they grow on, it means our slide collection is quite diverse and it's tricky to use really. So we can have specimens that are literally stones stuck on slides. We can have Canada balsam specimens. We can have wax sections. We've got so many different types, and it's working out how to effectively conserve them ready for the move, how to find appropriate furniture types that can properly store all these specimens safely, and so they can still be accessible for research. So we're also going to start looking at boxing some of our slides and treating them more as dry objects, just to stop dissociation if you know, a piece of bryozoan can actually just fall off the slide if it's not protected. So lastly, this is our bryozoan herbarium, which I like to call the jewel of the collection because it's quite unique again to Bryozoa. And of course, this is how you tend to see botanical specimens presented. And of course, that's because bryozoans were thought to be plants. So it's a relatively small area of the collection, but it does still contain some type material. So this is the type of alcinidium, which is still used today by researchers. And on the far side there is the oldest specimen that we have in the Bryozoan collection. So it's from the 18th century and it's Flustra that you can just find on the British shoreline. So we keep our specimens in their original condition because, of course, the paper and the handwriting can tell you a lot about the collectors and the curators of that time. And that's me. So thank you everyone for listening. Just special thanks to the people on this slide. And if you've got any more questions about Bryozoa, let me know.